All right. Welcome, everyone, to Navigating the Job Market as a Technical Writer in 2026. I'm Rachel Stavchansky. I'm one of the co-organizers of Write the Docs here in Pittsburgh. And for those of you who haven't heard of Write the Docs before, we're a very welcoming organization for anybody who's interested in documentation. And I mean that in a really broad sense. So if you're a developer, user experience designer, content designer, or just somebody whose topic tonight sounds of interest, you're always welcome. And so we have meetups locally, but we also have conferences. So talk to me if you want to learn more. And thank you to Salesforce for sponsoring our pizza buffet and to Bakery Square for our lovely space here tonight. And so I'm delighted to introduce tonight's speaker, Jill Shaheen. And Jill is a Pittsburgh-based tech professional specializing in developer documentation, team leadership, and content automation. And she's also a recent successful job hunter. She spent 4 years at AWS as a senior documentation manager. And currently she's a staff content designer at Skylight Digital. And so Jill has an awesome blog, which is actually how I found her, jillshaheen.com. And also my favorite thing about her LinkedIn is that her profiles are she, her, yins on her profile.
My pronoun.
So welcome, Jill. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for reaching out about this and reading my stuff.
Yeah.
And you know, I wasn't actively putting that stuff up before I needed to. So showing my little mouse down there or something. Okay, I'm going to try not to read the slides to you, but I'll probably be reading some slides to you. It's also going to be a little awkward with the rotunda here, but so what I'm going to talk to you today is about kind of my journey. So I actually started in marketing because so many of us don't start in writing, and I was working for a high-tech manufacturing company here. And I was asked to find a software system for us to use, a new CRM system. So I chose Sugar CRM, and I ended up being like in charge of it all. And I started, there just weren't docs for it. So I was writing my own user guides. I started a blog called Sugar for Admins, and I was posting all of these things for other admins because we all were struggling so much. And so they reached out to me and asked me to join their knowledge team writing stuff there. And so I worked there for a while, moved up into management, and then somebody I went to grad school with at Duquesne, her husband was a technical writer at AWS. They had moved away years ago to Seattle for him to take the job. And she contacted me and said, Randy's hiring writers. Would you like to come to AWS? I was like, yeah. And when I went, they said, oh, you're a manager. We have manager positions if you want one of those. And I was like, yeah. And so there I was. So working with Randy and doing cool things at AWS. I knew right away when I got there that it was going to be awful. I knew it was going to be intense. I said they give you a sign-on bonus that pays out over 2 years, and they give you stocks that vest over 4 years whenever you join. And so I said my short-term goal was just to get that bonus, be out the door in 2 years if it's terrible, but if I can hang on for 4, let's stay and get the initial vest. I was there for 3 3/4 of a year. But the whole time I was there, every day was the day I was going to get laid off, that we were getting laid off. You just felt it. So I started looking. They also eliminated the remote role while I was there and kept giving me an extension. It was a super secret extension. So I was looking. I was out there. I'm like, I got to find something. So I started looking before we got laid off in October of 2025. It's nice getting laid off from big tech. They give you, what's it called? A severance? Yeah, but there's a period, a garden period, 3 months, because they have to give you 90 days notice, but they're not going to give you notice and then have you keep working there. So 3 months, I was considered fully employed, full paycheck, full benefits, vesting continued. And so my last day was January 29th or something. And I ended up getting a job in March. And at that point, I had been looking seriously looking hard since January of 2025. So about 14 months that it took me to get a meaningful offer. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what I mean by meaningful offer, but it really was pretty much my first offer. So I think we talked a little bit already. Is anybody here not even looking? They just kind of want to stay sharp. Yeah. And somebody like me feeling the itch, like you probably want to move and get out there, but it's comfortable where you are, but no, nobody like that. And then we have a couple pivoters. I already talked to 2 pivoters. Any other pivoters coming in, trying to get into technical writing from somewhere else? Craig, what do you do, Craig?
I'm a software engineer.
Yeah. What makes you want to, or think that you might want to be?
So my first degree is in English, and I'm retiring in a year. So this documentation is the thing I want to kind of
for retirement.
Yeah.
Got it. Retired, but we do. All right, and actively looking, but everybody else. Well, we're all actively looking, I guess, kind of. But you need to get something, and you need to get something now. No one like that. Okay. Kind of a little bit, Tim. Okay. All right, that helps me. So these are the topics I'm going to talk about. I don't know why my picture. But this is what I'm going to talk about tonight. If there's something that's more interesting, or if I'm spending too much time on something, just please speak up and let me know. I'm happy to talk more about something that might be more exciting to you than what I have in store. I also ramble, so apologies. I thought I'd lead with any idea how to make that go away? It's not on my screen.
I wonder if it's the sharing setting.
No, I thought it was my pointer, but okay. So I'll tell you what that one says. That one says content specialist. I thought I would lead with the issue that really, really highlighted itself when I was looking, which is that the name of a technical writer is changing, right? Oh, you're an AI content evaluator now. You're, who knows what you are, but the big one, content designer, that's the one that's up and coming. That's what I was hired as, a content designer. And to be honest, at that point, even in my year of looking, I hardly saw any content designers, and then it exploded. So I don't know if that's just me, but I didn't see it out there too much. Now that's everybody. UX writer, that was a really cool one to look out for because writing UI copy is the best. Of course, technical writer is always a go-to, and content strategist. That one seems to have a lot of matches. These gray ones are all good as well. They're not as common, but you should include them in your searches. But if you see any of these bottom ones, content specialist, content manager, or documentation specialist, they're probably not right for us. They're the first 2 are more. From what I found, that's marketing. Those are all marketing positions. Documentation specialist teams tend to be in medical people, like medical documentation sorts of things. So just some ways to filter that out. What's everybody's favorite?
UX writer. I like technical writer.
I like technical writer too. I still I'm like, I can't do it. I just can't say content designer yet. So what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is kind of cool. The day the layoffs hit for me, I was managing a team. of 13 writers. I think we were down to like 9 because everybody was seeing that we were going to get, because an earlier layoff had hit, the remote role was gone. I didn't know who else on my team was impacted. Was it just me because I'm remote? Because I'm a big mouth? And so I had a couple text numbers, phone numbers that I could reach out to. And so I immediately started a WhatsApp group, and there were 3 of us. And they started inviting their people that they knew into the WhatsApp group. And we started growing and growing this WhatsApp group. And it ended up being 150 out of 180 were laid off. The group is at 120, I think, maybe 130. So almost all of us ended up there. And it ended up that the director who was telling everybody that they were laid off, she had to meet with all 150 of us over two days. Eventually heard about the WhatsApp group, so she asked for permission to refer people to me. So that WhatsApp group splintered into a few different channels within WhatsApp, and we have a job hunters group. That job hunters group is just not so. The amount of activity that was going in there, it's slowed down a bit now, but people are still looking. People are still in there helping each other. But I took the entire transcript of the entire chat that we had from beginning to end, because people kept asking the same question. And if you join WhatsApp, guess what? You join a new group, guess what? No history. So I made the ultimate job search field guide for tech writers, or for tech in general. And I put together this resource, and that's what we pinned to the channel. I'm going to share that with all of you today after this, but everything that you see here is stuff that I pulled out of there. Some of it is controversial. Some of it I don't totally agree with, and I'll tell you about it. But I think you should definitely pay attention to all of it. So the Claude did a summary of what we were finding, what people were claiming. And these are some stats. The interview rounds per role. If you are, so first off, I'll say I was personally most of us at AWS were looking for senior roles. And a lot of us were looking for remote roles, because a lot of us were kicked out for being remote. If you are in a market in a city like Austin that has a lot of positions and everything, then this might all change. But in tech, like we all are for tech writers, 4 to 7 interview rounds per role. It's just it's a full-time job. It is so hard. It is grueling. And you have to get through the recruiter screen. First, you've got to get a recruiter to reach out to, to actually respond to you. I'll show you that. And then you've got to do a hiring manager, and then you've got to do your peers, and then you've got to do the engineering team, and then you've got to do the product management team. And in one case, I had to do advanced support team, manager for that as well too. And I actually grabbed a notebook to bring here today, because I'm a manual note taker, and I realized this was a notebook I was taking a lot of notes in while I was on interviews. These are my messy notes, but I just started writing at the top, like I gotta remember which one is, I'm like Smart Cat, Smart Cat, tech writer, AI first, Revenue Cat. I was interviewing with Smart Cat and Revenue Cat at the same time, which is really,
oh yeah.
And fun fact, I have 5 cats. And then day one applications. That's a big thing we're going to talk about too. I keep saying we're going to talk about like we're not talking about, but so these are my numbers. I guess 17 months is what I estimated. October 2024, it looks like I really started applying. Till March 2026, that was 129 applications. I know some people who were putting in 100 a month. I was being very picky at the beginning, when I had a job. I was like, well, I'm not leaving this job if they haven't laid me off for a job that pays less, and I didn't get my best yet. So I wasn't even looking at jobs that weren't like equal or better for a little while. And then I ramped it up at the halfway point. I started applying a lot more vigorously. And then you can see this peak here when I got laid off in October. These are probably a month off, right? Because it's measuring I don't know. But anyway, I got 22 engagements. That is how many out of the 129 applications I sent that they reached out to me and said, we want to talk to you about this. Now, at that point, I might have said, it's not for me. That's not enough money. There's some reason that this isn't going to work for me. Or they might have said, no, you're not right. You're not going to make it into the interview, or we ended up filling it, So of the ones that actually reached a real interview, 12. and they were grueling. I feel like I did 1,000 of them. And then I, by some miracle, got 2 offers in the same week. One was a company that worked really, really, really hard to get me. They fought for me. They raised their like total maximum that they could even give me. And they were so nice. And my boss does pottery just like me. And I loved it, but it was a startup. Everybody I talked to there was so stressed out. All the writers on the team, like the problem was that they needed, like, it was just what I do. Like I come in there and I could really help them. And I knew that. But the other job was going to pay me more money, pay for all my insurance benefits, and I was not going to be a manager. And it is government contracting, which has a much slower pace. And I have a 6-year-old, and I am going to be 50 soon. And I decided I just wanted to do the slower pace. So that's how I decided what to take there. But that is a miracle. The fact that I had 2 great offers, that's not something that we're seeing a lot of. So just a reality check there. But, some of the things that I found out you really have to do is you're going to be applying for different types of jobs, different industries, maybe different roles altogether, maybe adjacent roles, things like that. Don't make the mistake of having a separate persona lined up for yourself for each one of these. Your skills are transferable into other roles, and that's why you're looking at those other roles. Build a profile of yourself that showcases what you're good at in skills, because a hiring manager can see those things jump out. You're not saying I wrote a 45-page user guide. We'll get into some more concrete examples, but you lead with your capabilities, not your job title. What did you do? What did you accomplish? What did you help them do? And then don't write for what you did at your last role. Write for what you want to be doing in your next role. Be thinking of that when you're writing your resume, when you're writing your cover letter. Systems thinking. Take that away today, if nothing else. It's not about writing. It's sure as hell not about writing anymore. Half the places don't even want writers. They just want somebody who can manage the system. So showing that you understand systems, that you understand the technology behind them, but you know how to improve processes. That's what everybody wants. They want you to be able to, what can you do? This is a mess. Nobody can get anything done. Everybody's stressed out. Everything's late. You understand the process, and you can fix that. Be ready to talk about the first question you're going to get is, going to be about AI and automating the docs. And that's what you should be doing in your jobs now anyway. And then enterprise experience, specifically for AWS, but any SAP, Microsoft, Oracle, the big places, even Salesforce problem. I said that problem. Those are all really exciting because a lot of these companies that are hiring tech writers, they are years behind, and they want somebody to come in and teach them. Especially with the AI, you'll be shocked. Well, maybe you wouldn't be shocked because I was coming from AWS, where we literally were building the systems, and they, in fact, pulled tech writers off of writing for 3 months to train their first AI model on what we knew about the tech docs and do fact checking and stuff. And that was an internal project. Anyway, so we've been using it for a while. I'm gonna slow down here. We'll talk about portfolios here next. Any questions so far? Complaints? Disagreements?
To different, what's the difference between technical writer and what was the second one?
Content designer?
Content designer.
There's no difference.
Okay.
I think that the design, understanding that we design information architecture, and so do the designers, and there's a lot of overlap between the two. I think the disciplines are starting to mingle together a lot more. Does anybody have an opinion on content? Yeah, go, please.
I think it depends on the institution. So it's worth asking because like Salesforce has specific role of content designer and their job differs from mine. And I'm a technical writer. So I think they focus more on UI and interaction and UI text primarily. Maybe you can correct me or add color.
More like UX writers than some of the other content design roles that might be out there.
See, that's what I expected. When I got my content designer role, I had to present to them a piece of work and walk through it. So I prepared this whole thing on all the like UI work I had done. I was super excited. I got the job and one of the reasons I accepted the job was because it's so fun. I can't believe I just got a job where I just can like UI text all day. And my first day was like, oh, thank God you're here. We need somebody who knew AWS because we need to write a developer guide for how to install this software. So you said I'm going to be a content designer. So that's when I found out that I was a technical writer there. So yes, Rachel, thank you. Ask your recruiter. And don't depend on job descriptions because half the time they're reusing ones for old ones. Like specifically, what are you hiring this role to do? So on your portfolio, I've got a whole blog post about this. So if this is interesting to you, check out jillshaheen.com. Don't be afraid to have gaps on your resume. Gaps are expected. Nobody notices. Nobody cares. Pivoting. If you're pivoting roles, make sure that your resume doesn't read like what you used to do. Make sure it definitely leans into what your capabilities are, what your accomplishments have been, things that obviously apply to the role that you're pivoting into. We want to make sure that your portfolio can be used by all the different types of things you're applying to. So then that's again, actually, let me just pull up my portfolio. I'll show you this as an example. Now I need my reading glasses. Someday you will need reading glasses too. Stop share. Okay, so my portfolio is a website. I made this with Claude, of course. I must have rewritten this blurb 1,000 times because every morning I wake up and be like, that's terrible. I should say this. But if you look at my portfolio section, you'll see that my work samples here have a filter by type. So if I did find a good marketing role that I wanted to do, then the person looking at my portfolio can easily see it's not much on here. The marketing, I actually have more I could have put, but that wasn't a priority. Process design, developer docs, specific things here, and then go view the project. So there's a link to it, but that link is down here. I basically tell them what I want them to know about this project and what skills it demonstrated without them, before they even go look into that. So AWS was big, AI, ML things. Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks for people for pivoting. Because for example, my background is all like programming and stuff. Like I have a thesis, it's like 70 pages. It's not particularly good writing. I published an academic paper, but like again, it's an academic paper. Can you just write things and not have a need from a specific job?
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes. Okay. Yeah, or even things that you've done in your personal life. Like my brother, he's looking for a job. He doesn't take any of my advice. But he recently did improve. He just made this great improvement. While he's been unemployed, he has been building the coolest apps I've ever seen. He's vibe coding them and everything, but he's got a lot of experience to back him up. And he he's just been making the neatest stuff, really usable stuff that fulfills a need, but he's been doing it for his wife and for him, you know, and so he just recently added all this to his portfolio, though. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. They're super awesome. But yeah, for your thesis, definitely, that should definitely be on there. You know, do something like, you know, have something concise. Somebody's going to click on that, and you know what they're going to do? Their eyes are going to roll back in their head when they click on the link to it, and they're not going to read it, but they will read what you tell them about it before they click it. They'll go click and they'll be like, okay, this thing exists. I see. Oh yeah, she wrote it. Okay. So definitely include that. It's very impressive. You know, and again, think about, do I have my, yeah. So look at the skills, tools and technologies. Here, some of this leadership and process, you know, think about cross-functional collaboration, team management, if you want to go into management, stakeholder communication, stakeholder management, governance. These are all big keywords. Process design. Those are the sorts of keywords that are jumping out to hiring managers right now. They're not looking for a writer. Everybody that applies there can write and is a writer. They're looking for the people that can come in and fix the mess that they have and elevate elevate what they're working on and do that. Oh, go back to that.
Can I ask a question about like the AI tools, like portfolio items? Like you wrote about your process with which you used AI tools?
Sorry, I have this weird thing. I can't do this at the same time. Can you ask me the question again?
Sure. Well, do you want me to wait till you are done with your item?
Okay, go ahead.
So on your portfolio, I think one of the things you could filter for was like related to AI. And I was curious, like what kind of content was it at that part of your portfolio?
So it wasn't content. I wasn't talking about the content that I generated. I was talking about the process that I used to generate the content. So I had a couple. So the first thing on there is actually that I participated in the actual training program where we trained all of the AWS writers on AI. So I had a key role in that. That's something I can put on there. I was not the owner of it. So, you know, I said I was a contributor to it. I said what my contribution was and how that helped. The other one is things that I automated with AI or that I deferred to AI. So just to defer something to AI doesn't mean I do this in ChatGPT. Now, this means that I am building a model or an agent that, or a project, depending on what tool you're using, that is specifically trained on all of the standards and knowledge that we have, and that it has reduced time for repeatable content actions, you know, UI text that follow a repeatable pattern. You know, that's a big one. I've got an error message generator, you know, tell me what the thing is, tell me what the problem was, tell me what they do to move forward. It's got a pattern. They can spit it out, have a writer check it before it goes out. So things like that, showing that that you understand that you can do that to be faster now is good, but also making sure that you say that this is not a humanless thing, or else they wouldn't be hiring a human, that, you know, you also understand that it's going to make mistakes, it's going to hallucinate, it's not going to know the nuance that you know about how the user to use the system or how they feel about certain things. Yeah. Did that answer your question? I don't know. Yeah. So those are the types of things that you want to talk about in the thing. Skills that we have. So talking about pivoting, if you're pivoting into technical writing. I made this for people pivoting out of technical writing, because that's the thing right now. If you want to go into content strategy UX writing and you haven't really you've been technical writer forever. It's not really that much of a stretch, but information architecture, user onboarding, product facing content, that's all transferable skills that you have, that you've worked on, that you can, those are the things you should talk about the most in your resume. Technical program manager. If you're good at cross-team coordination, road mapping, delivery under constraints, you go be a TPM. I would never. I also haven't worked with too many good ones, so I guess a lot of people would never. No offense to all the TPMs in the world, sorry. API, I think every time I work with TPM, I'm like, aren't you supposed to be good at organizing things? I am not. API developer docs. I'm sorry, you can be a developer advocate. If you're good at dev docs, you love the API, then be a developer advocate. That's a great job to transition to from a technical writer. You know all the stuff. You already are used to the language, and you understand how the users are using it, and the developers are using it, rather, in this paper. So talk about, show your code samples you've done. Show community engagement you've done, even if it was like off the cuff or off hours, whatever it was. Show your engagement, show your technical depth, your understanding of the technology. Those are the things to focus on. And then knowledge management. This is, content systems and automation. So a lot of knowledge manager jobs out there, they want somebody to come in and wrangle all of the data that they have and all the silos that they have across their organization. There's different angles on content management, but the big one I was seeing was we have a support KB, we have the docs, we have the marketing blog, and we have a place all the product managers keep posting stuff, and none of it, it's all separate. None of it talks to one another. It's everywhere. So platform design, governance, self-service architecture, those are the things to focus on there. All right. All right. This isn't like rocket science. I would say the biggest thing, so ATS, applicant tracking system. Every company is using them. There's a big three. We'll look at they are getting remote roles. They're getting thousands of applications, and they're all great. Everybody's having AI write their resume. So they all repeat everything that's in the job posting. So that's nice. Use the job posting to find that thing, that hook in there, that read it. There's something in that job posting that's going to tell you what specifically they need. And it's probably a nugget because they're probably reusing the job posting from the last time, but they threw a bullet in, because this job really needs to be good at stakeholder management because boy, that team is tough. Put all of your skills on your resume. Don't leave anything out. If anything is like, I kind of know that, but like I've never really used it a lot at work, so I don't feel comfortable saying I can do it. Put it on there. It doesn't matter. Put it on there. There is an applicant tracking system that is going through your resume to find specific skills before it would even make it to a recruiter to decide if they want to even look at it. So don't make a giant, ridiculous page. Don't make a wall of every technology you've ever heard of. Keep it within reason. Keep it to the relevant ones, but just don't be afraid to put the things that you're seeing they need in, because you've got to get past that applicant tracking system if you're even going to get through the door. Now, you run the risk. Oh, I put them all in, and now they're going to ask me about them, and now I don't know anything about them. But that's where you get to be honest, and you get to, talk about what your experience is with it.
Okay, 2 questions. Whoa, I've never heard of you can't put in hyperlinks in your resume.
Yeah, that's one of the controversial things. That was something somebody pointed out in our chat that they kept saying. So when AWS laid us off, they also gave us career counselors or whatever. They had a company that company, LLM, I believe it was,
Yeah.
It was LL something, but now I can't think of anything else. They said they made everybody take the links out of their resumes. So I can see how when it goes through, it's probably parsing it. It's probably taking like the big ugly, URL that's behind it and doing that. But nobody's going to click out of your resume anyway. Save it for the cover letter in your portfolio.
Also putting tables, text boxes. Yeah. Like, oh my God, I've always put everything in table because so my dad is a recruiter. It was unemployed currently, but I've had a resume since I was like 10. Because I was like, when I don't have a resume, but Dad does. I've always made it with a table.
Yeah. So that everything lines up.
Yeah. So the dates are one thing. Yeah.
You can do it without tables. I'm pedantic about my
But it's wild.
Sorry, I was booking. This is my we're going to Ogle Bay for the 4th of July.
Even if you export it to a PDF and you don't use tables, I'm just curious.
I am really weird about wrapping text. I try to get everything on one bullet, get all the fluff out. So if it's going to be on 2, I actually usually try to make it the last bullet in the section so that the wraparound happens there. Sometimes it's just unavoidable, but you can keep it tight and concise without tables. It works.
I mean, I believe you. I'd never heard of this before.
Yeah. I won't. Did anything jump out on here? Anybody wants to talk about before I move on? Avoid rebuilding your resume for every application. You're going to go crazy. You might have a couple resumes. You might have, like I had a manager one and a individual contributor one, and I started by making a custom resume for every single job. That's how I started. And then if something really, really spectacular came up where I'm like, this is my dream job and they need me, you have to hire me, I would make a custom resume for that.
Can you tell us about the ATS scoring? Like, did you have a tool that would score it for you?
Yeah, so that company that hired us would give us scores on our resumes, and people were totally hung up about this number. So, the goal isn't to make it perfect. You can find those online. You can probably Google for them. You can probably ask whatever you use for your AI chatbot. You can probably ask it what would my ATS score be on this. One thing, I had a standard cover letter. I had a whole context file just for my job search. So it was trained on my voice, my experience. It knew more about me. I have a terrible memory. It knew so much about me. It would remind me of things I did that would be good to talk about. So that was really cool. But one of the things, the ATS score. Yeah. So, yeah.
The main thing that sticks out to me is that these ATS tools that are being deployed at scale are incredibly rudimentary. And if it weren't for the absolute deluge and onslaught of automated applications that everyone's receiving, but no one in their right mind to voice something like this, but yet everyone has to because how can you emotionalize an application in a day? Yeah, I can imagine. So that's a good segue, hopefully to the next one. No, I'm gonna. Oh no, all right. This one. All right, we'll talk about LinkedIn. I don't know how I'm doing time wise. I should have time.
You're 7:20,
Oh.
so you've got 25 more minutes.
Okay, LinkedIn visibility. Very controversial. Open to work. I hate it. I can't stand it. I don't want to. If I see somebody who has open to work on their profile, I'm like, bleh. And why does it have to be so ugly? But the fact is, you have to have it on if you're looking for a job. Here's the thing: you don't have to put the badge on your face. You can go into the settings and you can say show only to recruiters. So you have to have a LinkedIn recruiter license to filter on people who are open to work. it will reduce. Listen, if anybody's reaching out to you through LinkedIn that does not have a LinkedIn recruiter license, it's probably a contract position or a scam. So I really wouldn't worry about it too much. But so, you know, if you turn it on and you turn off that visibility, I'd like to see some statistics on it, but you should be fine. I don't think a lot. I probably got 2 or 3 legitimate solicitations through LinkedIn from company recruiters who said, I've got a role at my company and that you would be a good fit for. Very rare though, I think. One came right, man, that March must be a good month because I got one came right towards the end and I ended up referring one of my colleagues, one of my former peers. That role is a good job. Okay. Professional headshot. You don't have to go to a photographer anymore. Get your selfie or your picture from your best friend's wedding off of LinkedIn. Go on Google. Do a Google search for prompt to make professional headshot. Copy the prompt, feed it your favorite picture of yourself, and then tweak it from there, and you'll get a lovely AI generated headshot, which that picture was taken on the first day I went back to work after maternity leave. I was still glowing. This, do I have it? My skylight profile picture, I'll just turn the computer around here. Well, anyway, I think my current LinkedIn profile picture, it's definitely AI generated. So I think it looks pretty good. Let's see. I'll just show you skylight. Here is I'm going to turn my computer around. This is my profile picture at work. AI generated. Okay, you don't have to go to a photographer anymore. Get a nice picture. It makes such a big difference, in my opinion. And that's what you're here to listen to. Okay, back to the sharing. It says your screen sharing is paused. I wonder why. There we go. Okay. Post on LinkedIn, react to news, post your thoughts, respond to colleagues, just make sure that you're visible. Hiring managers in my interviews all mention my LinkedIn activity. All of them. So one thing that was really helpful to me, one of my a writer that I worked with at AWS had participated in something like this before and decided to start up for our group, was a blog hop. So a blog hop is a group of people who have like backgrounds, similar backgrounds, in our case, technical writers, who once a month agree on a theme and then post something along with the topic within that theme, all on the same day. And each post says, this is a post in a series, go look at the previous post, go look at the next post. And everybody down the chain does that and links to each other's. So that would drop something, and it was usually something industry appropriate, but you'll see in my LinkedIn, I'm still doing it. I don't want to be doing it anymore, but I'm going to keep doing it. So just find something, find something that you think is interesting and respond to it. When you start doing that, you will start getting connection requests like crazy. There's a huge tech writer community out there. Developers, product managers, all sorts of people will be interested in what you're saying if it's meaningful. They all want to have bigger numbers, so they all want to connect. You will start getting lots of connections. You will start getting visibility into people who are constantly posting job opportunities. My company's hiring this and this and that. So build that network up. There's a wealth of information on LinkedIn. I don't know what this is. Find community members. target companies and connect. Yeah. If you try to connect, yeah, go connect, look for people with the role title for a job that you want, or who hire for the job title that you want. People accept. Very, very rare. I don't accept if I think they're going to sell me something. Otherwise, if it's my area or an adjacent area or in my geographical region, I accept. And get your skills endorsed. I don't really know about this. Somebody said in our group that the algorithm prefers endorsements over every followers. So ask your friends to give you recommendations and also endorsements, and you will do the same for them. People you've worked with in the past, people you went to school with, you know, so let them know what you want them to say about you, what you want them to focus on. You know, I told mine, I said, it'd be really great if you could talk about how I, transitioned the whole team to, an automated intake process and, reduced time to blah, 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 like you were there for that. If you could say something about that, that would be great. I don't have a lot of recommendations, but the ones I have are pretty good. So I hope they'd stand on their own. More about networking and community. Do you want me to skip ahead? Is this useful, network and community? Okay. So this is controversial too. A warm intro to a recruiter changes your odds significantly. That is anecdotal, coming from the group, people saying that worked for them. I just wasn't comfortable doing that. Like reaching out to somebody, a recruiter, to say, I just applied to your company, or a hiring manager to say, I just applied for that role that you might be hiring for, who is. I just wasn't comfortable doing that. I can't imagine that lands well. So take it or leave it. Some people say it works. If that's your personality and you're bold enough going to do it, then give it a whirl. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. So anyway, take it for what it is. Yeah.
My dad was a recruiter for so long. He does almost always reply to people.
Yeah, I think reaching out to a recruiter is safer than reaching out to a hiring manager, probably. Hiring manager depends on the recruiter to filter things out so that they don't have to deal with that. So yeah. This is people do this to me a lot, especially when I was at AWS. But if you actually have a legitimate connection, definitely let them know you're asking. They can put in an internal reference for you. They probably get a bonus, so they're happy to do it. Yeah, former colleagues who have landed, that was a big one for us. As soon as somebody got into a company, they'd start telling everybody, there's a role going to be opening up, Write the doc Slack, dedicated job posting channel. Endorsing each other. Any questions about? Try to move on. Where to find the jobs? Okay, these are the big one, the big three ATS systems: Greenhouse, Ashby, Workday. Hands down, my absolute favorite. They were even hiring a technical writer. Greenhouse. Greenhouse recently improved their platform. While I was in the job hunt, it was a mess, but they have a dashboard where all the companies that use Greenhouse for their job postings, they aggregate all of the job postings there. So these jobs might not be on LinkedIn at all, and everybody's looking at LinkedIn because all the job sites are just garbage. So half the stuff, if you're looking at ZipRecruiter or anything like that, these job postings have already been filled. They're already taken out. They still have them up. They're using some sort of thing to suck them all in. LinkedIn has the most current job postings, but Greenhouse, nobody else is looking there. Not too many people. And if they're not on LinkedIn, that's where I got Skylight. They didn't post it to LinkedIn. I saw it on my Greenhouse dashboard. Greenhouse is nice because you make one login for Greenhouse, and every company that uses it, you can use your Greenhouse login. Workday, on the other hand, I should pull up my password manager for you. The first rule with Workday applications is you have to make an account, and it has to be a unique login from every other Workday account, and it's been stored in password manager as Workday. So you gotta, every time you do it, you gotta make sure you save it in your password manager with the name of the company that you're applying to, and then take out. I think I would call it like, I would call it IBM Careers, and that work. It would have the work there, but you gotta overwrite it. Big pain in the butt. Ashby, is that the one that just got sued for? Oh, just got sued for. But these are big ones that you see. Direct career pages, bookmark the company career pages for the jobs that you really want, or that you know are likely to have jobs for you. Like, this is a company that hires people like me. They would just put up a job that I could apply to, and I could get in. Check it every day. Check directly their career page, like it's your job, and apply on day one. This is it. I don't know how to tell you this. So many. Listen, again, I was looking for mostly remote roles. Pittsburgh doesn't have a big market, so I'm guessing that's probably a big one here too. If you don't apply on day one, they stop looking. Day one, they get hundreds of resumes. They go through, they find 5 good ones, 10 good ones maybe, I don't know, and then they stop looking, because now they've got to move it through the queue. Now they've got to bring it here. Now they've got to set up a recruiter and screening with you. And it's going to go to a hiring manager thing. And they don't want to do 1,000. They want to pick one of the 10 that they started with, because that means that they can stop doing that and go back to their jobs. So if you see something has been out there for 3 weeks and somebody, over 100 people clicked apply, you can see that on LinkedIn. They're halfway through the hiring cycle. I'm not telling you not to apply. I'm just saying, don't expect to get a call back. If you do, it's a miracle. Like, still apply. But if it's a job, I'm just telling you, if you really want a job, you have to apply today. And that's it. It's bananas.
Posted on LinkedIn, so I'm not sure if it's other hiring sites, but like it was reposted by your hiring manager. How does that happen with the day? Like, would that be day one? Is now when reposted?
Yeah, that you can't really tell. Like I said, like, you should still apply if it's a good job and you'd be good at it. You should still apply to it, but don't spend the half the afternoon refining everything that you own and rebuilding your portfolio from scratch for this job, because it's a really, really low chance. But if it's been reposted, there's a lot of reasons that can happen. Maybe they took it down. They usually don't take it down until there's an assigned offer. So the reposted might be, maybe they're reusing something for, it's a new role that opened, but they just hit repost. I don't know how that works. But the other thing is, I'm gonna do this a lot tonight. I don't know. I'll let you know if I think of what the other thing was. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, I can't remember. Right there. I'm of a certain age where things are happening to my brain. Okay, so almost every callback I got came from applications on day one. Sometimes you'll see no longer accepting applications. They just say, turn it off. I can't handle it. Like, do this easily, but it's still, you still have a good chance, especially if they post it like on Thursday and you take a look at it if you want to something like that. That's the first week. Probably they let them come in a bit. Build a monitoring system. Yeah, don't wait till the end of the day if you see something come up on LinkedIn that you want to apply to, which is that just dropped. That's your chance right there. It's like that feeling, you get that rush of adrenaline. You're like, this just dropped. First, build a monitoring system. Bookmark your career pages. Use your greenhouse dashboard. Tighten your LinkedIn filters so it's the perfect, and then you keep seeing good things come through.
Is there a particular time of day? Like, is it like first thing? East Coast time, or
I don't think so.
We're getting
I can
close
run
to
the data.
10 minutes or less left on our official reservation.
I'm sorry. All right. All right, I want to show you. Okay, I know you want to see the money slide. Now you saw I have a money slide, so I know you're going to want to see the money slide, but I do want to show you the job tracking dashboards. These numbers look big to me. I don't know, maybe if you're young, they look like what's out there. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's bananas. But I tried to, this is what we were seeing in our job group. The reality, if you have experience being a technical, that you're going to be right here. Entry level, you're probably going to be right at the 100 mark, maybe 90. Anybody shake their head no if you think I'm crazy. These are way off. Okay, this is, so in Pittsburgh, even if you're a senior, you're probably looking at less than 110. And now that's not talking about the big companies at Pittsburgh. We've got these ones, BNY Mellon, PNC, Duolingo, Uber. You're gonna get a bit more there. You're probably also going to get some equity, things like that. If you have good experience and you are great at what you do and you've been doing this a while and you're not making this much money, you can be. That's the end of that story. I got hired, I want to say when I was at Sugar CRM, I was making I can't even remember. I think I'm going to say like 130, 129, maybe something like that. When I got interviewed at AWS, and I know not everything's AWS money, but the big thing at AWS was like, we don't pay the most out of all the big tech. But I started laughing when we were hoping I could get 150 and they offered me 170. And I had actually contacted a person who would help you negotiate that I was going to use. So I was scared. And I started like giggling when they told me the price. And so she goes, okay, I'll call you right back. And I was like, what? No. And she called me back with a higher offer because she thought that I didn't even negotiate. I just hesitated. I stuttered. So I got hired at Amazon for 180,000. I'll be open. The sign-on bonus was $100,000 cash, pays out over 2 years, and that paid out monthly. So as long as I stay, I was for 2 years, I would get it all, and $140,000 in stocks. And those aren't options; those are stocks that you're getting that vest over the years. So my total compensation package there to get hired is $244,000. That's unusual. You're not going to find, but if I was an engineer, my total compensation package for a new hire would be $500,000 for something like that. So use that as your relative. If you're going to I think the realistic number is this is what you should expect to get. This is what you could get if you're patient and you find the good companies and you have the experience. I ended up getting my offer to, what was the name of the company? Was it Starburst? Like the candy. Yeah, they were a startup that wanted, they were going to give me 150 or 160. They opted to 170, which was the most they could get. They offered me $400,000 in equity. That was meaningless to me because they're not public and that money might never come to fruition. But boy, we talked about it. They were like, yeah, they're like, we're just like, give her all the equity we can give her since we can't get her salary up any higher. I ended up taking $198,000 for an individual contributor role. That was their first and only offer. That was not negotiated. And they don't offer any equity, but they do offer 10% 401k matching, and they pay 90% of my health insurance and $100 swag budget a year.
Is 10% very high for
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will say, when I worked in Pitt for many years, I made nothing, I made like less than 40,000. But they did 100% foreign law cash, or it wasn't.
Yeah.
So that's weird.
Yeah.
You think about this, you can contribute very much to their pay. I was contributing, I was contributing basically not. Yeah, exactly. I think 6% seems to be pretty common in corporate. Okay.
Yeah. You can see student loan was like 8 for academia, and that's like very generous.
I'm for it.
So I felt weird. I wasn't sure about sharing those numbers. I kept looking at them, I'm like, this looks so high, but I was out there, I was looking at roles, and that really is what's out there. I had plenty of jobs. I was ready to accept anything 150 or more at the beginning. And then I think I took it. Yeah, 150 or more is what I needed to keep my family alive, because my husband decided to go be an independent contractor and mow the lawn all. But he, I love him. He's wonderful. He, and he's much happier now, which is good for me. But I remember I got a job offer. I almost got an offer at the end there from BNY Mellon, and their absolute max, they were offering me 120, and they came back, and like the guy was just like, look, we don't go higher than 150 here. So, and I would have taken that if I had no other offers. Believe me, I would have, that I can do okay on. Can't get my husband that new electric riding lawnmower though that he just got that I can't play. National competition, remote, this is the reality, okay? Day one is non-negotiable. You're fighting against the whole country. Got to be visible on LinkedIn. If you're looking in the Pittsburgh local market, not a lot of roles, lower pay floor. You're going to be looking at 65 to 75,000 in the Pittsburgh market, unless you go for the big corporations. That's when you get to 6 figures, low 6 figures there in a lot of cases. Less competition. Referrals and networking with people that you know around town, that works better for that. All right. Contract work. Is anybody interested in hearing about contract work? That was a big topic. Okay, so there's 2 different ways, W-2, 1099. W-2, the agency employs you. 1099, you're independent. Your take-home money is going to be closer to what you, you'll take home more of what you see the rate is if you are independent. So $85 at 1099. I'm sorry, I think I said that backwards. Just read the slide, don't listen to me. But if you go on a W-2, contract to hire is very common. These are the actual numbers. This is what we paid AWS contractors to be tech writers. If I needed to ask for funding for a contractor for my team, that's what I would use for my budget. This is not, don't, I mean, take it if you need the money, but that's not a reasonable rate. So, somewhere in that $55, $65 range is what you should be doing. If you're getting more than 75, you've got a really strong rate. Those aren't always full time. Keep that in mind when you do the conversion. Red flags and scams, there's a lot of them out there. I would say watch out for the job aggregators that are, and for a lot of recruiters are trying to recruit because they know that the company makes a commission. They're just going out, and I got a lot of bad recruiter experiences, recruiting company experiences, things, especially for contract positions. So we'll share these slides with you. And I'll share the whole guide, which has even more information. But I wanted to give you a live demo of an app I created while I was in the job market. Okay, this is my actual data. A screenshot of it earlier. But I got sick of trying to figure out, I was forgetting what resume I used. I was forgetting, did I apply to this one already? I was using my emails doing an email search to track, like, did I get a response, you know, stuff like that. So, or what did I say on the cover letter? So basically, the big thing that started this was I wanted a spreadsheet that had a list of all the careers pages for the jobs, places that I wanted to apply to, so that every day I could go through and just directly to their careers page, not to the jobs page where it says go to the careers page, not to the, you know, not to their LinkedIn thing, not to all these things. So that's what started this. If you look at the companies list, each one of these companies opens up their actual career page. So the actual search positions, right? In a lot of cases, I actually put a search query into the URL if it supported it.
It looks like that's available on GitHub.
It is, yes. So this is available. Any of you can use it. The data is stored locally in your browser. So as long as you don't clear your cache, but I have some reminders here to do a backup every once in a while. Because if you do clear your cache, you'll lose your data, but it doesn't go to a server. It's not shared with anyone outside your browser. Then your applications. So you can see here, okay, here is, let me sort the other way. Okay, I applied to 8 roles at Microsoft. I had people in there I knew 100% qualified, didn't get a single call back. Same thing with Oracle. Half my team, I was managing Amazon RDS relational database. Half my team there came from Oracle. I knew everybody. Databricks. One of my writers went to Databricks, referred me, and that was a mess. But here's the 7 applications I put in. The link goes directly to that job posting. So I can go and look at that job posting, but I can also click the eyeball and I can see this was the job URL. This is the resume that I used. This is the cover letter that I used, the date that I applied, the reason I was rejected, how far in the progression I got, and the date that they got back to me to say you got the job or you didn't get the job, and any notes, contact name, anything like that. That's really helpful. So let me look for, so this is the one that I turned down. Yeah, I just put a few hiring manager and then a 4 interview loop. So that was 6 rounds, right? Rich, the recruiter, hiring manager, 4-person loop, six rounds. But this saved my butt. And then at the end, felt really good to put the offer in. But I also came up, the categories you can create, it comes blank. You can put whatever categories you want in there. I changed them 100 times. You can export your data and then re-import it with new categories if you want to do that. But I broke it down into cloud infrastructure, customer platforms. That would be like Salesforce, cloud infrastructure, you know, being like the AWS, the Snowflake, health tech. That was a big one that kept coming up. Data and analytics, I was really strong in that one. That I managed the analytics team and the database team at AWS, so that was good. And then I was able to see I am putting a ton of resumes in to these 2, and I'm getting a little bit of movement, you know, but data and analytics, that was my sweet spot. I got an offer. I got a few interviews, a few callbacks. So that told me I should keep applying to these. I'm getting a good response here. These people like me, so I'm going to keep at it. All right. I actually only have one other slide, so I can go. Surface patterns. Oh, so yeah, workshop. That's just the, do we have time for the workshop, or did I go so long that we're done?
I think you had a lot of really interesting things to share with us. So we may not have time to this meeting for the workshop.
I apologize. I should have put a little timer up.
It will be a thing.
But
when you come back.
I'm happy, I can stay if anybody wants to stay, or we're allowed to stay if anybody wants to do that, and I'm also happy to meet up again or do it online.
Well, thank you so much to Jill. I just want to make sure we acknowledge while we're all still together. A big round of applause. Thank you so much.
Good, I hope there was some new information, wasn't